Happy Thursday, Pat.
Yeah.
We usually do these on Fridays, but I am flying the coop tomorrow, so jumping in a day early. So
let's roll.
And we've got our rain gear on. So.
Yeah, exactly. First rain we've had since August. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that's something. So.
Yeah, it is. Really is.
Hey, I want to point out a couple things to say thanks to our millions and millions of viewers, and especially the ones that I've been hearing from. I've been getting people sending me text messages and calling me, and we've been doing some deep dive real estate stuff. But I want to show you something that's kind of cool. Thank everybody. See if I could find it here. See, I'm going to share the screen. It's going to look kind of screwy for a moment. And there it is. I'm at actually over 925 subscribers now. So we only have 75 more to get to that magic number of 1,000. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, very cool. Good job.
So when we started doing this, and I think I just mentioned to you, we've done 36 of these live events. We went from 210 subscribers to 925. But that pales in comparison to my son in North Hollywood, who has 13,200 subscribers with only 66 videos. So he's an animator, so he's doing well. So, so I can't compare myself to him.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but hey, it's something to shoot for. So interesting week. So last time we were on, we talked about how the inventory was going to go down and down and down as we get closer to the holidays. And as predicted, that's happening. And what was encouraging just a few days ago was that it looked like inventory was not being eroded, that the buying activity was backing off just a hair. And it looked like, man, if this is momentum, you know, maybe we'll get some more listings to look at in January, because January is normally our peak time when we have more listings. And how bad is it? We are at 7,022 today. Thursday and Friday are when we have our highest number for the week. We dipped below 7,000 yesterday, got down to 6,900. And all you can do is shake your head. It's just cities with lower supply than ever recorded are Chandler at 140 listings, Gilbert with 116, Mesa with 285, Phoenix with 1,031, and Scottsdale at 725. And I'm going to share that sheet that I make here with Excel and show you what I'm talking about. There it is right there. So here's where I was encouraged. See these three lines here? This is a 7-day moving average. They were pretty much tracking even with each other. So if you go down here and look at the numbers, you know, we had 3,700 new listings come on, 37 under contract. Above that, 3,670, 3,699. Now, all of a sudden, we're back where we were. The yellow line, which is the number of homes going under contract, is starting to pass up again the blue line. And where I was mistaken, where Michael shared some numbers with us, that one of the reasons that we don't have enough listings is because people are hesitant because of COVID, when in reality, the numbers show that we have more listings coming on board every week than we did in the previous 2 years. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
what I track is, I'm going to go back here and try to unhide this column here if I can. So I track total listings. UBC is under contract accepting backups. Contingent is, I'm going to buy your house, but it's contingent upon me selling my other house. And then pending is, it went under contract. They're not accepting backups. They just set it right to pending status. So I put in these three numbers: UBC, contingent, and pending. And then I put before that how many new listings come on and how many went back on. So you can see that number kind of floats a little bit. The number that really jumps out, though, is look at how low the contingency number is. Here it says 135. So if you're trying to get a contingent offer written, you're in la la land. It's like less than 2 or 3%. Here's the months of supply by price range. See if I can make this a little bit bigger for you here. See, here is 1.7 months, 600, 800,000 is 1 month. And then look at this. It drills down to when you get to 300 and 350, 0.4, 0.4, 0.3. That's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and the numbers show that. So this is what it is. And normally in over 3 million, we usually have about a 12 to 16 month supply. So that market's on fire.
Even though the 1 million, the 1.5 million usually is like 3 to 5 months, 3 to 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. And that's just growing like gangbusters. But, so I want to throw something out here too. Whoops, I didn't mean to stop the camera. I want to stop the stream. There we are. So, Pat and I, we're talking about having a happy hour for our YouTubers once things calm down, whenever that is. So there'll be a way. You'll have a link on here where you can RSVP. But just for fun and for giggles, if you're watching this either live or in replay, put in the comment what city you're in. I'm always curious, just how far the reach is of people looking at Arizona real estate. I've heard from people from Texas and from Seattle and California. So I'm curious, just put your city down there because it doesn't give us that kind of data. It doesn't show us where everybody's from. And so it'll be fun. So if we're going to have a big powwow out here, get everybody together, and yet most of our views are from Europe, that wouldn't make sense.
Exactly.
So reading the notes in the Cromford's report this morning, one thing he pointed out, and again, that's Michael Orr with the Cromford report. He's a mathematician. He goes, this inventory thing is a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's not just Arizona or Texas. It's everywhere. And oh, cool. Great. Look at us. We got Broomfield, Colorado, California. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Wow.
And the pandemic actually boosted home ownership. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, when we got that stay home order in March, I thought we were screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way. And even looking forward now at just how devastating this economy is, and in California shutting everybody down again, and Washington State, I think sometimes these politicians also don't realize the ripple effect. I was talking to a guy last night in a restaurant. I said, I think what they don't realize is when they shut down your restaurant, that it affects your suppliers. So, like Cisco or the beer distributors, they have to throw out beer because it has expiration dates on it. And then when they say it's okay for you to open up, they have to ramp up. They've got a shortage.
Yeah. So
you got a pizza place and you're trying to get pizza shells. I had a friend that has a pizza place in Washington State. He said he couldn't even get any pizza shells. He couldn't get any Canadian bacon.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, think about it. I mean, the lifetime, these politicians have don't get me started on this one because these guys are idiots. They're just absolute idiots. I mean, I'm just going to go out there. They're all, man, I would love to go. I love to go ballistic on here for about 10 minutes, but just not politically correct.
Well, I just got one this morning. They changed the fishing regulations in Washington State for fishing in the river for steelhead because the numbers in one river in Chehalis, which is way, way away from where my brother lives, the fish count isn't as high as they want it to be. So they put restrictions on all rivers. Now get this, you can't fish on the river if you're floating it in a boat. And right now, for the most part, they're catch and release anyway, but they don't even let you do that on a boat. And you have to fish from the shore only with a single hook with no bait. So, and then you can catch, you can only catch and keep the farm raised fish. The ones that aren't farm raised, I guess there's a way to tell. You got to throw those back. But so now you got all these people that were fishing on the boats. Now they got to park it somewhere along the side of the river, which is probably on private land. And my brother said they're going to shut that down because of COVID. Too many people gathering on the shoreline. So that's very.
I'm just curious I'm just curious if these politicians were at one time, if they were an average human being.
Yeah, it's discouraging. It's really discouraging.
It's these policies that they come out with. I mean, I know we've never really talked about, but to shut down an economy for 3-4 weeks and say, okay, you can start up again. Like you said, if you think about it, the ripple effect, these suppliers, the beer. I mean, it's just everything's backlogged. Everything's backlogged. I mean, you just can't turn an economy on and off like it's light switch.
Has anybody out there tried to buy a refrigerator lately?
No.
They're on a huge wait list.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, it goes back to, we're getting off topic, obviously. I apologize, but God, it's so frustrating. I mean, I hear these reports of these small business owners. I mean, that are getting shut down. Just New York, California. I mean, I'm not going to go. It gets frustrating. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's talk about foreclosures for just a second, because one of the things that was pointed out and looking at the listings and stuff is there was an article on the amount of equity that people have, and so far the equity this year is up 17%.
No, it's actually it says CoreLogic report that the homeowners there's 63% of all properties have seen their. It says here report that homeowners with mortgages, which represents 63% of all properties, have seen their equity increase by 10.8% over the past year. This equates to a collective $1 trillion in gained equity. And our average, it's about $17,000 per homeowner, which obviously it's more than some cases others.
And if all of the homes that are in forbearance, let's just say that half of them don't have equity, which is unlikely.
Yeah,
if they all came on the market, the effect that it would have on the market is we may get closer to normal.
Yeah.
And so there isn't even enough homes in forbearance to hit the market in one day and give us an oversupply situation.
Yeah, there might be that ripple effect where all boats rise and go down with the tide. I mean, obviously, if you start to see, we saw that kind of in 08, 09, in 2010, where you do get kind of that. It takes a while for the real estate to wave. Once it starts to get crest, it takes a while to kind of move down and just if one homeowner sells his house has to reduce his price from $400 down to $395 or $390, then all of a sudden you get a ripple effect. Well, if there's another homeowner, he says, I better sell now. So you get kind of that. It takes a time to get that momentum going. Real estate is not like a stock that you can just sell it quickly and move in and out of the market. So it does take time for the wave to kind of hit. But like you said, the supply is not there. The demand is there. We've got equity. So like you said, it goes back to 08, 09. That I don't see, we've got such a difference economically with the home equity than we did in 07 and 08.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you that chart in a minute too. So
people are forgetting that point. As far as, like you said, in 08, 09, 07, you had a person that owned 5 homes they bought it on an interest only 100% type of program because they were out there and they had no equity. So for them to lose it, they just like, I'm just going to, they turn around. So I'm just going to let it go. Here, they've got to give it a lot of thought. And if you bought a house, over a couple of years ago, even like I said, 2-3 years ago, I mean, you've got 50, 60, 70, 80,000, plus in equity. And the economics are just not there.
Well, look at the question here from Taxable Abe. He goes, we built our house in Goodyear, Arizona in 2016 for $340,000, 4-car garage, 2,400 square feet, quarter acre. According to comps, it's now worth $500,000. Do I sell? And where do I go? I used my VA loan. Well, you only, I mean, if you don't like the house, yeah, sell. But if you like it, you can certainly stay. You're buying the house so that you can pay down the note and not ever have your rent going up. And he does say, he says, basically he wouldn't be able to afford to buy that same house now. But he did refinance. He says, I'm stuck. I ended up refining at 2.49 for 30 years. That's actually not stuck. That's a pretty good rate. You got a low payment. You're not going to get a phone call from the landlord telling you to raise your rent. And if housing starts to turn, you're still okay. Because if it's worth 500 now, Abe, and it goes down to 400 and you bought it for 340, I mean, you've got a lot of wiggle room. You're in good shape. And if we look at the history,
Goodyear's a great area too. It's a booming area out there.
Oh, it's going crazy. It's going crazy.
Yeah.
Here's foreclosures. This is notice of trustee sales by month. So you can see the awful ones here. See how they creeped up?
Is there? I can't see the real chart because the subscribe button. Can you move it? I don't know if you can move it up or.
Let's see.
Sure. Maybe make it bigger. There you go. No, yeah, smaller. Make it smaller. There you go. Yeah.
So you can see on the right hand side, there's nothing going on as far as trustee sales.
Yeah.
So are we going to end up going from here to here that you see here in 2008 and 2009? There aren't enough forbearances to hit these kind of numbers.
I mean, hell, even if you look at, if we could just get, it'd probably be a welcome sight to get to, like say 2012, 2013 levels. Not welcome sight.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hate to see people hand them back, but a lot of these people are just not going to have to hand them back.
No.
So now, unemployment wise, if it's all bets are off the table. I mean, the protection that renters had is up in just a few weeks. I mean, that expires December 31st. And you know how effective Congress has been in getting another program put together. They're not doing diddly or squat. And so what's going to happen in a few weeks with these renters? And the average renter owes $5,800. The average renter that's late owes $5,800. They don't get the option of tacking that on to the end. They don't like you do in a forbearance. The renters have nothing. And I don't know how that's going to shake out because the landlords are sitting there going, oh, well, I'm out $5,800. I'm still making my mortgage payment. I've got insurance. I've still got repairs. Something meaningful has to happen in the next week because, you know, they're all going to go on recess and go home. And they've been stalling for political reasons. And
Yep.
so
idiots.
Yeah. And so, but that's a bad one. That I don't know where that's coming. So, yeah, Taxable Abe says, I have a theory that all the doomsayers are investors trying to keep us out of the market and to list our homes so they can rent them back out later. I don't think so. I mean, there really isn't a group of investors that all get together in a smoke-filled room and go, hey, I mean, they were already making positive cash flow on their rentals. There was no reason to mess that market up. So they were getting plenty of good money on their rentals. So, you know, and we've all got theories. So but this next week, what we got to watch is we got to see if Congress is going to come up with anything at all that can give relief to renters that are out about almost $6,000, and inventory is not going to go up. Now I've got a listing coming up and it's a one-day listing as we've talked about. And in the body of when YouTube, if you scroll down, you'll actually see a 360 tour button. And you can walk around this house. It's up in Surprise. It's absolutely phenomenal little home. It's going to be $289. And I expect we're going to get more than that. And we're just listing it for one day to keep from having all this COVID traffic for a week. Now up in that area, the average listing is only staying on about 4 days anyway. So it's not like I'm cutting this out that much, but this is going to be an interesting thing to watch because we're getting the photos done today and we'll get to do this coming soon campaign that says, you know, watch this. Here it is. It's available Saturday. Here it goes. Now, if we overbook on Saturday on appointments, we'll open it back up on Sunday. I mean, we'll be forced to if we book up, but I fully intend to have this done in one day. So YouTube uploads these live things after we're done, but take a chance and click on that virtual tour and take a look at that home. It's really, he's got everything in there, Pat. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it looks like a nice house. I mean, you know, in terms of these renters, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, the foreclosures, I mean, the reality of it is that, I mean, I'm just putting, just to keep it simple, I'm keeping the concept simple. I hope I didn't offend anybody, but the people that are being hurt by this pandemic, the service people, the people in restaurants. I mean, I know this is a very general term. I'm going to offend somebody, but for the most part, they might not be homeowners. They're young kids growing,
Yeah, that's what the data is saying too. Yeah.
Basically, and then you're getting, the homeowners, the guys who've got the tech jobs are working, they haven't been really affected. So that's obviously why we're seeing such a weird discrepancy. But there's going to be a handful of investors. There's that. What I've normally seen in my history is you've got people that buy investment homes. There's a handful of people that will own their primary and they'll buy one other investment property, or maybe two. You know what I mean? But then you got this other group of people that are basically professional investors that might have 10, 15, 20, 30 homes.
Well, the data right now is showing that investor activity in our market is only at 12%.
Yeah. It's not
the market's being driven by people between 34 years of age and 40. And then the next biggest group is 55 and over. But so investor activity right now is just not happening because there aren't any bargains to be found. Most of the investor activity ramped up in 2012. And it was actually good for us because they picked up a lot of our dilapidated homes and fixed them up and put renters in them. And, they could sell now and make a pretty penny off of them. And maybe some of them will. Maybe some of that's going on now. I think if there wasn't protection for the renters now, a lot of them would have sold before the end of the month because we know the capital gains taxes are going to change next year. Yeah. And so, but now they can't sell them because they have renter protections. So it's a perfect storm, and I don't know how it's gonna end up. And so oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I've never seen anything where it's going to consolidate into like a 2-week period here where we're going to see what the new direction is. Because after Christmas, that's when, new listings historically start coming on at just breakneck speed.
Mm-hmm.
And even having said that, I'll bet you we will only end up at best 8,500 to 9,000 homes in January.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I think we're only, who knows, we've been trying to figure out when you get back to normal, and this a normal market, I'm just going to throw that out there. It's probably just get back to normal when we get a vaccine in this. The vaccine seems like it's going to be the WD-40 for everything. Just loosen everything up.
Who is that guy? Jamie Dimon? Is he JP Morgan or who's
the sun is killing me. Sorry, people.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know during the winter it sets different things here. There we go.
Yeah, now you got it. So,
there we go.
So anyway, he said he is not buying treasuries. He's convinced that inflation's coming. And if you're holding a 10-year treasury note, you're just losing. So he thinks that it's, the Fed can say all they want that they're going to keep rates low through 2023. And he's saying all bets are off. He doesn't think that's going to happen. He thinks 2021 is your last year of low rates.
Yeah. I believe, 2021, we've been sitting at this,
thanks, Abe.
We've been sitting at this cusp with these rates. Really, we've had realistically a 10-year bull run on rates, with interest rates going low. And there will be a time, if you think that's all in the pipe, with all the deficit running and they're going to have eventually pull back on the MBS buying. Rates, technically, if you think about it, 2021, I don't see much further in 2021 that rates are going to be this low. People are I think there's a chance they might go a little lower once we get a little bit, maybe I think some more bad news from this, because the lockdowns are really going to have a flow through affect the next couple months. But
I think the first wave of the lockdowns, Pat, affected the people you were just speaking about, the restaurant workers, the hospitality workers. This second round is going to affect white collar, the person that owned that restaurant.
Yeah.
The person that owned that supply company. the investors that have the hotel chains. And before we see wholesale price drops in housing, it's going to happen first on a much larger scale in commercial properties.
Yeah.
And it's going on now, but it's not really visible to us because, the guy that's got the strip mall down the street, you didn't know what it was worth in good times, and you're not tracking what it's worth today. But trust me when I tell you it's bad.
When you see, you can just tell us how much it's worth by seeing what kind of businesses are, how empty it is.
Yeah.
If we can get the vaccine, it would be the WD-40 to get things going, maybe by middle of summer. But we've still got, middle of summer. But if you see rates creep up, then that maybe rates go up, and then you do see real estate soften a little bit. Because I think there's buyer fatigue. What I'm seeing too is I'm at least getting a sense. I don't have any real data, but I certainly think there is probably they say there's an affordability issue, but there really isn't an affordability issue because rates have come down, and they were talking about the median price on prices. They said the affordability issue, actually that comment is kind of moot point, but it's going to be interesting to see how everything kind of just stabilizes out. Though I think we are going to see, once the vaccine comes out, it's going to be. I think it's going to open up. Everything's locked up, like you said, the COVID.
Well, J.C. Penney's exited bankruptcy this week, and it's interesting how they did it. Looks to me like they did it the same way that Kmart did it a few years ago, where they put the buildings into a separate LLC. So you got J.C. Penney, the business, and J.C. Penney real estate. That satisfied the creditors, and they let them exit bankruptcy. They didn't really do anything to change their business model. They just kind of monkeyed with the math, and they go, "Okay, can we come out of bankruptcy now?" And so the comments that I was reading on it was brutal. And business owners that sell, it's if your business is in the toilet, you don't have anything to sell. So it's going to be tough. So it's December, January are going to say a lot for how the rest of the year is going to go. How low is low? And is there going to be any relief for renters? And those are the two big things coming up the next week or two that we need to watch. And I will let you know next week too. We'll be very transparent and tell you how well or not well we do on the house that is going to have the 1-day listing. And so that's, I think right now it's the smart way to go. You don't want a whole bunch of people traipsing through your house.
I don't like the way you're putting over 1 million people on edge, our viewers, as far as what could happen. You're going to be creating too much tension in the world.
Well, no, it's an excuse to come back and check and see what the numbers look like next week. It's called clickbait. Yeah,
exactly.
So no, I think if they don't do anything with the rentals, it's going to shake out on its own, and we don't know what's going to happen. At last minute, they're going to come in and slap a Band-Aid on it. But I don't know what the top of sales is. When we look at that chart and we see that 3,400 homes came on and 3,600 of them, got gobbled up. Well, if we get up to 5,000, are we going to have 5,000 buyers too? So, when we're watching that chart edge up, one of them is going to peak. Inventory is eventually going to start outpacing the buyers. So, but we don't know what that number is. I don't anyway. Yeah. So that's going to be okay. Oh, hey, looks like the house is already sold here. We got Terry saying he's going to bid 50,000 sight unseen. He is a bold guy.
I like his thinking.
Yeah.
Right up that contract,
today, Terry.
Right up that contract.
Put it together. So, Pat, any other interest rate moves or news? I thought I read something that they're starting to loosen up a little bit. They were starting to tighten down on the requirements. It seems to be ebbing the other way now.
Yeah, it's 1 week to another. I mean, it just depends what kind of underwear you're wearing this week. I mean,
yeah.
Right. Once again, the self-employed borrowers, now they need 3 months bank statements versus 2 months bank statements. They want to go back a little further. That just, they're just asking for more paperwork on new self-employed. There's not much. The rates have been just very benign here, sitting around the, mid 2, high 2 range. Has been very eerily, we'll have a few days where the bond market, I mean, if it's quiet, it's been quiet for the last several weeks. I mean, we've had a few days where the bond market's down 25 or 30 basis points. So, on a $300,000 loan, that might change your cost. I mean, if it's down 30 basis points on a $300,000 loan, that'll drive your cost up about $1,000 on the fees. So that's how rates do vary day to day. But overall, it's been real quiet. I mean, lenders have been. The problem is, once again, there's a capacity issue. I was Mortgage News Daily. I mean, rates really technically, like you said, the last couple of weeks should be lower, but the lenders have a capacity issue. And a lot of people say, well, they should lower rates. They're getting greedy. They're keeping the rates because the rates technically should be lower. They should be probably in the low 2s. But the problem is, it's not so much being greedy. The lenders are benefiting from the larger spreads because they're keeping the rates. Like I said, technically rates should be lower, but they're keeping the rates saying mid to high 2s, which is still, I mean, 10, 15, the last 10, 15, 20 years, if you would have said, I can get a rate for 2.5, 2 5/8, 2 3/4, who would ever thought that we saw this? I mean, it's insane. But the capacity issues, if they lowered them any further, they're right now running at about 100, probably 80% capacity, 200% capacity. And if they lowered rates even further, people's refis are taking anywhere from 40 to 45 days, and some lenders are taking 120 days to do the loan.
Yes, we got a business that's highly specialized, is doing 200% of their capacity and still has to be improved by underwriters. And you can't just go out in the street and go, hey, I need to hire 3 underwriters this month.
Yeah.
It's a lot of schooling and a lot of education. You can't ramp up. You can't just go. It's not like a real estate school. You can go to school for 9 days and get your license. You come out not knowing what you're doing. But in the lending business, you can't just go out and get a bunch of underwriters. It reminds me of when in 1998, when you saw these grocery stores putting in pharmacies, there weren't enough pharmacists. So if you were working at Fry's and you were in their pharmacy, Safeway would give you a $50,000 bonus and a car if you come over to work for Safeway, because there weren't enough people coming out of school to where you could ramp up and get all the pharmacists you needed. So there was all this dogfighting going on and bonuses.
Exactly. That's what they're doing in the mortgage business. They're offering, underwriters, bonuses and stuff like that to come over, because an underwriting and even processing. Now, loan officers were probably it pays to have experience. I got 21 years plus experience, but I mean, you can become a loan officer right away, which, you need experience in this business either way, whether you're a loan officer, processor, underwriter. But the underwriters, you've got years of, I would say schooling, but you've got years of experience and you just cannot ramp up. And the problem is in our business, rates have been, obviously when they start coming down and they get busier, you just can't hire people quick enough. But the problem is, and this is what people understand, well, just hire more people when rates go down. Okay, they do hire a bunch of people. And if rates went from say 2.5 to 4.5, you've got
laying them all off.
You're laying them all off. So I mean, they've been very edgy, because back in 2018, 2015, 16, 17, there was busy. Then all of a sudden 18 rates went up, from 3.5 to say 5, and there was people, starting to get layoffs. So it's a very fickle business that way, and that's why, like when I talk to somebody about a loan, I mean, there's rate, speed, and service. If you want the lowest rate on a refi, you could wait 65 to 80, 90, 100 days, 120 days. I just talked to this one chiropractor. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. He started his loan process in July with this local company. I'm not going to mention their name, but I should, because they're my competition. But he still hasn't closed his loan. It's December. I mean, that's rough.
That's a refi?
Huh? Refi.
Jeez.
I mean, it should take at the most, 40 to 45 days. I've got this one lender, United Wholesale. Their rates are just a tad higher. I mean, it's like, if somebody's at 2 5/8, they might be at, 2 3/4, but they could take 1 to 2 days to get approval, and that's it. I mean, I've closed refis in less than 2.5 weeks with them, so, but rate, speed, and service, if you got to pick 2 out of 3, because you're not going to have all 3, as I always say. And if you want the lowest rate, you could be waiting 60, 80, 90, 100 days, 120 days,
Well, there's a local ad on the radio station here, where the realtor is the gist of the ad is there's a big shift coming, and she can help you get the money out of your house now before it's too late. And I'm thinking they either wrote this ad copy 3 months ago, or they're not paying attention to the numbers. And she's a top producer in the Valley. And I'm trying to, to me, it's a dishonest hook.
Yeah.
Because, we can only go as far out as 2021 based on current inventory and the rate of how slow things change. I don't know what's going to happen in 2022, but is she running an ad now saying buy now, sell now because 2021 is going to be bad? Well, the data doesn't show that. Now, is she saying sell now because 22 looks bad? Well, maybe she might be right, but we're not seeing anything yet. In fact, behind me here is my crystal ball, but it turns out it only forecasts the weather, so I don't use it anymore.
So anyway,
well, Pat, I'm going to wish you a good weekend. I am flying off to San Antonio tomorrow. I've never been to the Riverwalk. I hear it's a great place. I'm going to have a birthday celebration, but I will be available because this always goes with me. And so if anybody has any questions or anything, if you hear a bunch of hooting and hollering in the background, that's me at a fun place, but I will still answer your questions.
Sounds good. All right, buddy.
All right. Have a good one. Hey, thanks to the millions of viewers. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so because we're so close, and smash the living daylights out of that like button. And thanks everybody for watching. And Jill, if you're watching, get better, will you? Because we missed the, a lot of people don't know when we poke fun at Michigan, we're poking fun at Jill. And every time we do that, she sends Pat and I text messages in the evening after she watches that. And we're kind of missing that right now. So hope you get better and get to go home. So.
Yep.
All right.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.